What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC Vegas 109. We have Anthony Hernandez going against Roman Delide. Very interesting card here from a betting perspective. It's a card that is extremely chalky, probably one of the chalkiest cards in recent memory. I think the closest line fight is the McConico Cody Brundage fight, but yeah, outside of that, just a ton of big favorites. So for me, I'm keeping it pretty prop heavy this week. Not a ton of money lines sticking out this week. Not really much parlay sticking out. I mean, I guess it's a parlay card, but I mean, these lines are just so wide. So yeah, looking to attack this card from a prop perspective, and I'm liking some of the spots that are sticking out. So looking forward to breaking it down. Before we get into it, if you guys could like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment. All three of those things go a very long way. Getting really close to 30K subs. That's the goal by the end of the year. Almost about 1,000 away. So if you guys do enjoy the content, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. It does mean a lot. Got a lot of big things coming up in the very near future. We got Dana White's Contender Series coming up next week. Be on the lookout for a video for Dana White's Contender Series. We got UFC 319 next week, a card that I'll be attending in Chicago. So yeah, looking forward to these next couple weeks coming up. So yeah. All right. I say we get into, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to start with the first fight of the card, and it is going to be Cody Brundage going against Eric McConico. We got Cody Brundage around minus 170, McConico at plus 150, and this is borderline like 1-800-GAMBLER, and a lot of people are like, why is Cody Brundage the favorite? How can you trust this guy? And whoever's saying that is right. You really can't trust Cody Brundage, but at the same time, like, I've picked against Cody Brundage in every single one of his UFC fights. Besides this one, this is actually the first time I'm ever picking Cody Brundage to win a fight. So I'm hoping he doesn't let me down. And the reason I'm picking him to win is I just think McConico can't take a punch. He can't take a shot. And Cody's going to come forward. He's going to land big shots. And I think a Cody Brundage early knockout is in play. So I was actually going to potentially bet Cody Brundage. He opened up as a big dog. He opened up at plus 170. It did not last long. I went to go bet it, and the line was completely gone and flipped, and Brundage was the favorite. And at that point, it's like, I don't want to really lake chalk on Cody Brundage. So how I'm getting exposure to this fight, I'm going to take a shot on Cody Brundage to win by first round knockout, plus 450 for a half a unit. I like the round one prop. I like Brundage to win and under the 1.5 mark. That's plus 150 as well. So some different ways to attack Brundage. But I just feel like if this fight does get out of the first round, he might not win. It might get greasy. You look at Cody Brundage, 5 wins in the UFC. 5 of those. All 5 of those come in the very first round. So that's how I'm attacking it. Just a half unit on Cody Brundage. I didn't want to get any more on this fight than about a half a unit on it, what I think is his most likely win condition there, which is an early first round knockout. Up next, we got Uros Medic going against Gilbert Urbina. Like I said earlier, we got a lot of big favorites, and Medic is a big favorite. There's even bigger favorites on this card, but Medic is a big favorite. And how I think he wins this fight is by knockout. Urbina is a guy that he's very hittable. I don't think he has a great chin. He got knocked out by Raki, which isn't the worst look in the world, I guess, but the worst look in the world is getting dropped 50 times by Tresean Gore in the Tough House. I don't think Urbina can take a shot, and now he's going against Medic, who's long, rangy, quick, and just has a ton of power. So, yeah, Urbina's going to have to get this fight down to the ground early and often, and if not, Medic probably touches his shin in the first round and a half, 2 rounds. So, I have 2 units on Medic to win by knockout in rounds 1 or rounds 2, minus 125 for 2 units there. I think it's a good way to play at these Medic early props. Early KO props, they're not bad numbers, considering he's a pretty significant size favorite there. So, yeah, Medic KO 1-2. Minus 125 for 2 units is how I'm attacking this one. Up next, we got Jocelyn Edwards going against Priscilla Cachoeira. And I'm really looking forward to this fight. But I think it's kind of a tough match for Priscilla Cachoeira here. Because Priscilla, if you're ever going to take Priscilla to win a fight, you're going to want to take her to win a fight that's against someone who's going to strike with her. Someone you're not really worried about, taking her down. And that's just not Jocelyn. Jocelyn absolutely has that in her arsenal. The wrestling. She's actually completed a ton of takedowns in the UFC. She's been working on that grappling. She's been training with Valentina Shevchenko as of recent, and you can kind of see that she's making a ton of improvements, and that's to be expected. I believe Edwards is only like 29 years old. She's gotten back-to-back finishes. She's showing some killer instinct all of a sudden. So yeah, I think Edwards is getting better and better, and it wouldn't shock me if we saw an even better version of Jocelyn Edwards this time in here. And Cachoeira, I think she's 37 years old. She's taken 3 lifetimes of total beatings throughout her career. I mean, she gets beat up in pretty much every single fight. So yeah, I like Edwards here. You can't You can't really lay minus 400 on her, but I think that sub prop's really live. Sub prop, I got it at plus 440. I have 0.75 units on it, and it got smashed, and it's still like plus 360, plus 350. I still think it's a good look because you're not knocking out Priscilla. It's never happened, probably won't. And yeah, of course Edwards can win a decision, but I think she will get takedowns. That's the game plan. She will get on top, and I think she will go for submissions. And Priscilla's been submitted 4 times. Her ground game's non-existent, and I don't think at all of a sudden, 37 years old, her ground game's going to improve. So I like that Edwards by sub. Plus 440 for 0.75 units. I think it's very live. Up next, we got Elijah Smith going against Toshiyami Kazama. I have my biggest play of the card on Elijah Smith to win in rounds 1 or rounds 2, minus 160 for 2.5 units. And yeah, it gives Elijah Smith 10 minutes to get this guy out of here, who quite frankly just doesn't belong in there with him. Kazama, I don't know, he's an okay wrestler, he's an okay grappler, but he's not going to go out there, and I don't think he'll win a lot of UFC fights. He beat Gregorio in his last fight, but Gregorio gassed worse than I've ever seen in my entire life. I think it's a brutal matchup for Kazama. I think there's a reason that Elijah Smith is now minus 800 on the money line is because Kazama, I don't think he's going to be able to take down Smith, hold down Smith, out-grapple Smith, and if he's not doing that, he's screwed. I mean, this guy Kazama has terrible striking defense, non-existent head movement, non-existent chin. This guy's been dropped a ton throughout his career, so this is really a spot where, quite frankly, this is going to be Elijah Smith's, it's probably his easiest fight the entire rest of his career here, and I think he takes advantage. So yeah, Elijah Smith, round 1 or round 2, minus 160 for 2.5 units. I didn't mess around with the knockout or the sub. I lean knockout, but Elijah Smith does have some tricky submissions, but yeah, I think Elijah Smith finishes him within the first 10 minutes. Up next, we got Gabriela Fernandez going against Julia Stoliarenko. I think there's 2 pretty simple ways to play this. Fernandez inside the distance, and then you got the Julia Stoliarenko by first round sub. I think that's pretty much her money line. That's the only way she wins fights. But I'm on the Fernandez side. I think Fernandez wins this fight at a pretty high clip. Julia, her path is that first round armbar. It's like, how likely really is that? I don't think it's too likely. Could it happen? Sure. But I think Fernandez is able to stuff the takedowns here, keep it on the feet for the most part, and just beat up Stoliarenko. Is just a walking punching bag there. So yeah, the fight doesn't go minus 215. I think the fight doesn't go. But I'm on Gabriela Fernandez here to win inside the distance, 1.5 units at minus 110. Next, we got Julius Walker going against Rafael Cerqueira. Yeah, I like Walker here, obviously. I think he's the second biggest favorite on the card at this point. I was waiting for this fight. I've been waiting for this fight because I do want to fade Cerqueira very badly, but they're not really doing us any favors with the lines. I was waiting for the under 1.5. The under 1.5, I think, is a great parlay piece this week. If you're doing parlays, I'm not doing any parlays this week, but if I was, that would be one of the parlay legs. I'm just taking Walker KO1. Walker KO1, 1.5 units at plus 150. I think that's what happens. I think that's what should happen. Julius Walker is going to bring pressure, and he's going to come forward, and he's going to hit Cerqueira hard. And I just don't think Cerqueira is going to like the power coming his way. I don't think he likes getting hit. I don't think he likes pressure. And I just kind of see Walker blitzing forward, Cerqueira eating one big shot, and then probably quitting. I don't think Cerqueira is much of a fighter, and yeah, if Walker loses to this guy, I don't know. It just wouldn't really make much sense to me. But yeah, Walker KO1. Really shouldn't take more than a couple minutes. You wouldn't. If Modestas Bukauskas is knocking out in the first round, I think Julius Walker can do exactly that, if not a little bit quicker there. So yeah, Julius Walker KO1, 1.5 units at plus 150. I think he gets it done by first round KO. Next, we got Christian Rodriguez going against Andre Fili. So yeah, I like Rodriguez here. I don't love the money line, but I like Rodriguez here to get the job done. I kind of think, the miles are starting to catch up on Fili a little bit. I haven't really liked how he's looking in his last couple fights. The Mel Costa fight was a horrible look to me. He went for a takedown, got put in a guillotine, got out of the guillotine, and then kind of put himself back into the guillotine and tapped out. It was really weird. And I think Rodriguez is going to put him in some chokes here. You look at Rodriguez, and this guy's attempting like 1 million submissions throughout his UFC career. I think it's a fish 9 submission attempts, which is really, you don't see that all too often with with submission. 9 submission attempts is crazy. So I kind of have a feeling he's going to attempt some subs here. And it could be one of those scenarios where it's like if he attempts a couple subs, like I feel he might just tap. I mean, that was such a bad look in his last fight against Mel Costa. So I like the Rodriguez sub prop. It's like plus 500, but I took the fight ends by sub. It's pretty much the same price. And just because that Philly is a black belt and Rodriguez has, like I said, 9 submission attempts of his own, but his opponents have actually attempted 7 submission attempts. So it's like 16 total submission attempts between Rodriguez and his opponents, which is ridiculous. So I think there's going to be a lot of grappling here. I think there's going to be a lot of submission attempts. So I took the fight ends by sub plus 475 for 0.75 units, but I think Rodriguez, that sub prop is very live. He's going to, at the very least, go for it, and I'm not sure, Philly's going to be able to get out of those submission attempts. So yeah, Rodriguez by sub is, I think, a really good look, and that fight ends by sub. It's the same price. G. Matsumoto going against Miles Johns. Yeah, not much here. I took 2 small shots on Matsumoto, round 2, round 3. Round 2 plus 1,100 for a quarter unit, and then round 3 plus 1,400 for a quarter unit. Miles Johns has been finished in 2 of his losses. One comes by knockout, one comes by submission, one comes in the second round, one comes in the third round. And I just think it's going to be a high-paced fight. It's going to be a Matsumoto-type fight where he's going to push a high pace. He can grapple, opportunistic submission game. He has a lot of power as well. And I just don't think Johns is going to thrive in that kind of fight there. Johns is a guy that I don't think has the best cardio. We've seen him broken in fights before. And I think he could potentially be broken here in this fight against G. Matsumoto, who's going to push that pace. So, yeah, I think 2-3 from Matsumoto is very live. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities late. And those 2-3 props, I like the numbers on them. So, yeah, a quarter unit on each. Round 2, 1,100. Round 3 is 1,400. Lucindo, Angela Hill. This is the one fight I am passing on. If I didn't see Hill's last fight or last 2 fights, would be an easy click for me, but I do think Angela Hill is kind of slowing down big time. I think the age of 40 is starting to catch up to her a little bit. All the fights are starting to catch up a little bit. I'm not even sure she won her last fight against Ketlin Souza, and I do think that Lucindo is better than Ketlin Souza. So yeah, I expect this to be really close. I expect it to be competitive. I'm actually picking Angela Hill to win the fight, like a split decision type fight. But in terms of putting any money on her, I just can't get there after seeing her last fight. But I think it's going to be a very close one. Next we have Christian Leroy Duncan going against Eric Anders. So this is my Smasher TV play of the week. It is going to be Christian Leroy Duncan to win inside the distance, plus 175 for 1.5 units. And yeah, I think Eric Anders is on his way out. He's talking about retirement in the very near future. He's apparently a real estate agent, which you don't like to hear. He's focusing on things outside the cage, and what's even more concerning than retirement and being in the real estate industry is the fact that Anders has been dropped in his last 3 fights, and getting dropped. It's not a great look, but I mean it's who he's getting dropped by. Chris Weidman, 40-some-year-old Chris Weidman in his retirement fight, Jamie Pickett, who that was the last time we saw Jamie Pickett in the UFC, I believe. And then Marc-Andre Barriault, who's not some murderous power punch. So he's getting dropped in his last 3 fights. And, Christian Leroy Duncan's a guy that I think has a ton of skill. I think is a very good fighter. I know people like to crap on Christian Duncan and all that, but he's a very good fighter. It's just sometimes, a lot of times, it looks like he just doesn't care. It looks like he's not trying. It looks like he's out there sparring. But if he comes out here and tries, like if he actually comes out here and tries his hardest, which he should, I think he can knock out Eric Anders, who's been dropped in back-to-back fights. I think he can land some big knees, some big elbows, and I'm watching these Christian Leroy Duncan fights, and it's like when he lets his hands go, when he lets all his tools go, when he tries hard and presses forward and shows some killer instinct, he's dangerous and he's good. So yeah, I think Duncan should go out there and absolutely I'd be shocked if Duncan lost this fight, but I think he can finish, and I think the finish is live. So Duncan inside the distance plus 175 for 1.5 units. I think Anders is I think at the very least, Duncan's gonna drop in. If Duncan doesn't drop Anders at least when Jamie Pickett and Chris Weidman did, maybe they should cut Duncan, but I think Duncan gets it done, and the finish is live there. Next, we got Steve Erceg going against Ode Osborne. Yeah, Urseg minus 600, Osborne plus 425. This kind of reminds me of like the Stoliarenko-Fernandez fight, where it's like, if Osborne's winning this fight, it's KO1, KO2. I think those are good looks if you're on the Osborne side. I'm on the Urseg side, though. Urseg's on a 3-fight seed, but against Brandon Moreno, Alexander Pantoja, and Kai France, he's taking a big, giant, massive leap down, going against Osborne, who's coming in here on short notice, who can't grapple, who I don't think has the best durability, who doesn't have the best cardio. I think Steve Urseg has a lot of paths here to win this fight. I think the most clear path is the wrestling, the grappling. I think he has a astronomical advantage on the ground, but even on the feet, it's like, yes, Ode can land a big shot, but Ode's also very hittable and chinny. So I think Urseg can knock him out. I think Urseg can sub him. I do lean towards the sub, but I just played the inside the distance for Steve Urseg here. 2 units at minus 120. I think he finishes Ode, who's been finished 6 times. 2 by knockout, 4 by sub. Like I said, could be knockout, could be sub, but I think Urseg gets the finish there. And then we got the main event. We got Anthony Hernandez going against Roman Delide. And yeah, like I said, there's a couple fights on this card where it's like, it's pretty clear. It's Delide early or Hernandez late. I would be shocked if it was really any other outcome. Like Hernandez is not finishing Delide early, and Delide's not finishing Hernandez late, right? So yeah, I think Delide is going to have a big opportunity here in the first 7.5 to 2 minutes, or 7.5 minutes to 2 rounds. And the Delide early props are massive numbers, and it was one of my first bets of the week. Actually, I took Delide to win in rounds 1 or rounds 2 at plus 1100 for a half unit. Like that's his win condition in my opinion. It's him landing a big shot in the first round and a half. It's him maybe locking up one of those submissions in the first round and a half, 2 rounds. But as we know, like if he does not finish Hernandez within the first 7.5 minutes to 2 rounds, he's completely screwed. And Hernandez is going to start to get his game going. He's going to start mixing in takedowns, start landing some ground and pound, chaining submission attempts, and potentially breaking Delide down the stretch. I think the fight doesn't go at minus 200. It's a good look this week. I think it's Delide early. I think it's Hernandez late. But I'm on Delide round 1, round 2, plus 1100 for half a unit. And then I took shots on Hernandez 3-4-5 KO props. The 3-4-5 by itself, I mean, I don't think I've seen worse 3-4-5 props in my entire life. They're definitely all over it. But I took the 3-4-5 KO, and here's why. Delide is a very, 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 very high-level grappler. I'm not sure Hernandez is going to be able to... I mean, Hernandez wasn't able to submit Michel Pereira, wasn't able to submit Josh Fremd, TKO'd Edmund Shabazi, and TKO'd Michel Pereira. I think the TKO is more live than the sub, in my opinion. Could Hernandez sub Delide? I suppose. I just think it's going to be very tough. I kind of think if Hernandez is finishing, it's going to be more like an attritional, ground and pound, mercy, as long as Herzog's not in there, mercy stoppage, like no more, I've seen enough, and you're beating him up on the ground. I kind of think it's one of those, like the Pereira fight, where, Hernandez landed like over 200 ground strikes on him, and eventually Herb Dean was like, yeah, it's enough. I kind of think that's going to be Hernandez late 3-4-5. So that's kind of how I'm attacking it. Delide early, Hernandez late, KO props. And the KO props are huge for Hernandez because, of course, they're favoring the sub. But Hernandez KO 3 plus 2100, I have 0.35 units on it. Hernandez KO 4 plus 2300 for 0.35 units. And then Hernandez KO 5 plus 2600 for 0.3 units. If you want to play it safer, just play the 3-4-5 in general. They're, like I said, they're horrible. You won't find worse prices ever, but at the end of the day, I do think one of those hits 3-4-5. So, or just take the fight doesn't go -2. I think the fight doesn't go -200 is very, very generous as well. So that's kind of how I'm attacking it on this card. Just very prop heavy, but there's not much else you can do. You can't really do parlays with this big of favorites. You can't really bet many money line unless you want to take a shot on some dogs, but I don't like many dogs. The only dog I like is really Angela Hill, and I think she's done. So, yeah, looking to hit some props. Just need a couple to hit for a good night. And, yeah, best of luck, everybody. UFC Vegas 109. We will talk to you guys very soon. Be on the lookout for Contender Series content. If you want to check me out on dfsbythenumbers.com, I'm going to be getting out some early write-ups for Dana White's Contender Series. I'm going to be doing a betting breakdown video for Dana White's Contender Series, a best bet article, and then looking to do like a fight companion for Dana White's Contender Series as well. So doing a lot of content for DWCS, one of the best times of the year. And yes, so check that out. Yeah, guys, best of luck, guys, for UFC Vegas 109, and we'll see you soon. Later.